My name is Maria Angel Ferrero. I'm assistant professor at the University of Montpellier, where I teach design thinking and agile methods in management to the students of international sales strategy and marketing intelligence. I decided to use active learning in my courses and pedagogy because I believe it's the best way to learn new skills. I also think that traditional methods of teaching, such as master lectures, are not preparing enough our students for the job market. They need to learn practical new skills before they enter their career. There are mainly 5 soft skills that I want them to learn through my course: creativity, communication, leadership, dealing with failure, and teamwork. I believe that these skills are crucial for any student entering the professional life, but are especially important for sales and international managers. My course is on design thinking and agility, so I follow 2 different approaches: problem-based and design thinking activities. Using these 2 approaches in my classroom allows me better to understand their strengths and how can they be transferred into the management field. I choose design thinking because it's an approach that can be easily adapted to any kind of course that needs problem solving and decision making. It encourages student creativity, critical and analytical thinking, teamwork, and communication. The main advantage of design thinking is that it lets students to follow a project all along the process, from the inception through the validation within a market. This demands them to become autonomous and to learn how to deal with the challenge at every step of the process. In my course, students are asked to work on an issue of their choice, and they have to go through the whole process of design thinking, from the ideation through the commercialization of their products or services. They work in teams, and in each session, a different member of the team gets to deal and lead with the conversation, the discussion, and the work. At the beginning of each session and at the end, we do a warm-up and a wrap-up meeting. In this moment, we reflect on what we have done, what we have learned during the activities and during the session of each day. The design thinking process lets them ideate, brainstorm, prototype, interview potential users, and try to sell their products or services to real customers. They deal with the failures all along the process. We reflect on those failures to understand how they feel, why they have failed, and how can we do better the next time. The program's intended learning outcomes for the Master in International Sales Strategy and Marketing Intelligence include interpersonal skills. 2 of those learning outcomes that I use in my course are: first, students will be able to solve problems and to critically analyze them. Second, a student will be also able to demonstrate effective written and oral communication skills, as well as decision-making skills. The use of design thinking method has 2 advantages. First is that it's very effective in letting students achieve their learning outcomes, especially when it comes to problem-solving skills. And the second one is that they get to learn the method, which is the main subject of my course, by practicing rather than learning it through a theoretical course. The way intended learning outcomes were assessed was crucial for me. I decided to use 3 different methodologies. First, self-assessment. I used 2 approaches. The first one consisted on a short questionnaire that the students had to fill at home on the first and on the 6th lesson of the course. The questionnaire asked students to evaluate themselves according to some soft skills and according to their engagement and performance during the whole course. The second method consisted in after-class retrospective learning videos. Students were asked to log, after each session, a video where they explain what they have learned, what they have enjoyed, what they have found challenging, and what they will expressively improve for the next time. This was done after each lecture. All the videos were uploaded to a social platform like Instagram, where all students have access to the videos and to the feedback. They were also asked to assess their classmates, especially those that were part of their team. They assessed their peers in terms of leadership, communication, ethics, teamwork, and creativity. This was done during the wrap-up session. For assessing their peers, the students were given an evaluation grid and instructions on how to assess. They had to evaluate their classmates on different criteria, like effectiveness of communication, creativity and originality of the project and presentation, the quality of the presentation, and the impact of the project itself. This peer assessment took place at the end of the lecture, in the sixth session. However, during the wrap-up after each session, students were also invited to give feedback to their colleagues, especially if they were their members of the team. Finally, I got to assess each of the groups and each individual in each team. One of the main strengths of this type of evaluation is the real-time feedback both the student and professor got. The student got instant feedback right away after each activity and during the activity itself. The professor has instant feedback about the course and the activities performed from the students. I can know when they were struggling and I could act right away. As for the self-assessment, it allowed the student to understand and explain why they were performing poorly and why they were performing better. Finally, it was easy to relate the activities to each intended learning outcomes and soft skill, something that is really difficult to do when you're using traditional tests. For the difficulties, I think that is mainly about how the instructions and the rules of the game are explained at the beginning of the course. This step is crucial because they are not used to active learning approaches, and it can be a space for misunderstanding. So, the fact that the professor, for example, has a more passive role and acts like a facilitator can lead the students to lose focus and get messy. If things are explained from the beginning and the stakes of the course are well stated, this shouldn't be a problem. For me, teaching this course was a very valuable experience, even with its challenges and difficulties. I don't think there is something I will do more or less. I think that every professor needs to pass through those challenges and adapt it to make it better. The only thing that I can recommend is that the first introductory class needs to be really clear and should explain to students how these methods are different from traditional lectures. The only thing that I really regret is not having more time and money to invest in the projects of my students, because they were so passionate about it and they were outstanding.